Hi, welcome back. It's Libby. It's the 7th of February 2021. I'm here in my kitchen and I'm going to make some lunch. I'm doing the 28 days challenge, so I'm not actually able to buy anything. I've got to use whatever I've got in my cupboards. I can use a little bit of money to buy fruit and veg, but to try and keep it minimum. I did quite a big shop of fruit and veg last week, so that's nearly a week ago, and I've still got quite a lot of that left. So, and I've also foraged quite a lot of stuff out of my garden last night. It did snow here this morning, so I did the right thing, but it's not settled. So I think we've got a bit more snow on the way, so the ground might be covered, then you can't get out and get your veg. So I've got plenty of stuff in my cupboards. So I'm going to make today two things. I'm going to make a watercress and celery soup. I'm going to use the watercress that I foraged out of my garden last night. I've got a little bit of celery and had just a small little chunk of celery left. It was organic celery, so that will be nice, and a little bit of onion. And I'm going to use a little bit of mixed herbs. And then if you watched my video yesterday, you would have seen that I made some stock. This is the stock that I made out of the peelings from my stir fry, which, by the way, was absolutely delicious. I really enjoyed it. So I've got the half of the tofu that I had yesterday, the other half of it. I froze the other portion that was marinated. Now this is going to be tofu bacon. I've sliced it really, really thinly. You probably can see there. Really, really fine, thin little strips. And I'm going to show you the marinade because I'm going to make some tofu bacon. And this is going to be for my dinner tonight. I've got some vegetarian sausages. I think they're vegan actually. Vegan sausages out of my freezer. And that is taken out a whole bag that I had that's now gone. So that's emptied a little bit out of my freezer, which I'm really pleased about. So I've got some vegan sausages. I'm going to have the tofu bacon. There'll probably be too much, so I can freeze the other half of this. I'm going to have some baked beans, and I'm going to have maybe some sourdough bread. And I've got some tomatoes left from a recipe that I did earlier in the week. So I can have a few tomatoes and yeah, have like a fry up kind of thing. Okay, so in this pan here, I'm going to make the soup. In this pan here, I've got some oil. And I'm just going to switch it on. And I've got some oil, about a tablespoon of oil in this pan. So I'm going to just basically make this soup. And then I'm going to show you how to make, I'm going to make some garlic croutons, some garlic butter croutons. Okay, so I'm just going to let this get heated up. I've got some bread, I make sourdough, so I've got some little chunks of bread here that I've chopped. You could use any sort of bread. You've got some bread that is like going a bit, dry. You can chop it up and you can make it into small chunks. It makes lovely, lovely croutons. I will use some olive oil. And I'm going to use a little bit of this Flora Butterley. Now this Flora Butterley is actually vegan. They don't make it any more vegan. So if you are vegan and you think, oh, she's got the wrong thing, this is actually the last one of my vegan stash, because now they've actually put buttermilk into it, which is really, why I would do that, I don't know. But I'm going to use a little bit of that, bit of olive oil, and I'm going to fry those off with a little bit of garlic. Okay, so that's now in here. So I'm going to put in my onions. So simple recipe. So if you're making soup, it's basically a simple recipe, and you always start off with an onion. You can put garlic in if you want to as well. This is a little bit dry. I'm going to put a little bit tiny bit more oil in, just literally a smidgen. This is light olive oil, quite nice for cooking with. Okay, so it's just going to lightly brown. You don't want it going brown, just slightly translucent. So just nicely cooking there. And so simple. It's going to take literally no time whatsoever. So I'm going to fry that off. About another minute. Okay, so that's probably more or less okay. Then I'm going to add the celery. Got a little bit of watercress going in there. It doesn't really matter. Just going to add the celery. Going to add the watercress really towards the end. Okay, so I'm just going to let this basically just cook along. And I'm going to add my herbs towards the end as well. If you put the herbs in now, it will lose its flavour. If you put it at the end, like I'm going to put the watercress at the end, that will be a lot better to infuse it with more tasty. So again, this is a really simple recipe, all out of the store cupboard, a little bit of veg that's left over, foraged watercress. I grew that last year and I moved it around my garden. It was in a place where I needed to dig some other things out. So I transplanted it into another patch and it was absolutely loved where I put it. And it was going mad yesterday, so I gave it a bit of a snip. So I'm going to add my stock, okay? So this is only going to make a couple of portions. There was literally about a pint of stock, or, yeah, 2 cups. What does this say? 2 cups. The other side is about, say, 50 millilitres, half a litre. Okay, so they've got the water in there, the stock, and then I'd let that come to a bubble and let it simmer. And then once it's simmered and it's cooked for about 15 minutes, I would then add the watercress. Now, I'm not going to sit here for 15 minutes waiting for that to cook, so I'm just going to put that one side and finish it off in a moment. So I'm just going to put that back burner on, and I'm going to use the big cast iron pan to fry the garlic butter. So I'm going to use a spoon and a little bit of oil. So I'm going to put in here probably about a tablespoon of this butter. Didn't do that very well. There we go. And then some olive oil, just a little bit of olive oil, about equal parts. We're only making a few croutons to go with that soup. So that's just going to melt away. And you want to make sure that it's not going to burn. Now, I always think the first couple of croutons you make, it's a bit like when you make a pancake. The first lot can be not as good as the first lot. You need to be a little bit watching them because they will burn. Okay, so let's just put that up a little bit. It's a little bit hotter. This pan takes a little bit of time to heat up. So I'm going to then, once that's heated up, I'm going to add my garlic. Okay, that's starting to heat up a bit, starting to fizzle. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my garlic in. So I've got this light, nice garlic. I'm only going to use half of that because the other half is for the vegan bacon. So that'll be about enough, I think. Okay. And these are great in the summer. You can have these with salad. You could make like a nice Greek salad, and you could put some croutons in with them. Makes it tasty, quite tasty with the garlic butter. And so this is all vegan. Obviously, if you eat butter, then you can use butter. Okay, so you need to get these so they start to crisp up. So I'm going to just put one in the pan. Okay, so just to test it out. And then once it starts to fizzle, it's nice thing with gas, you can control it. If you're on electric, it's not always as easy. I prefer a gas hob. I don't know about you. Let me know what you think. Would you prefer gas or would you prefer electric? So the soup's starting to boil. Be a little bit long, another couple of minutes, I think, on that. Okay, so this is starting to fry up. So I'm going to add probably half of these because I don't want too many because it's just for me. Leave those to one side. So rather than spending money on, garlic slices, these frozen garlic slices, you can just make your own. It's so easy. And this garlic is actually organic. I do like my organics. When the children were small, they used to come into my kitchen and they have friends around for tea and things. And they used to say, I had a cupboard just with things like nuts and sunflower seeds and things like that. And the kids would say, it's always organic in there, the kids would say, oh, that's mum's cupboard, that's the gerbil cupboard, or the hamster cupboard, because it was all things that basically a hamster would kind of eat. So it's a bit insulting, isn't it, really? I mean, I'm not a hamster. But yeah, I always thought it was quite funny. Okay, so I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of this this herbs on here. I'm not going to put too much on because it's quite strong. But as I say, this mixed herbs quite good to have for if you go camping. So I'm just going to sprinkle that on, not too much, and then just whiz it through. How are we doing for time? Okay, so that will be my lunch, the soup when it's made, and the croutons. I'm going to just set those one side and I'll just warm them up when I come for my soup. So that's basically my lunch all done. Okay, so what I'm going to show you now is the vegan bacon. So I've got the recipe here. So we're just going to put in a bowl, just need a regular bowl, the garlic. Okay, so this is just literally about a tablespoon of, a clove of garlic. And right, so then what we need is a tablespoon of tomato puree. Just going to switch this off while I'm cooking because it will be distracting. It might be quite noisy. Okay, so I'm going to use proper tomato puree today because I've got some in this tube here. So it's two tablespoons. I will write the recipe on the below the description of the video, so you don't need to having to write it down while I'm doing it. 2 tablespoons. Oh, it's actually 1 tablespoon. Sorry, it's me looking at two things of garlic, so I'm just going to take that out. So it's 2 tablespoons, 1 clove of garlic, 1 tablespoon of tomato puree, and then 2 tablespoons of tamari. It's kind of the same, you know, it begins with a T, so please forgive me. So 2 tablespoons of tamari. If you don't know what tamari is, it's basically soya sauce, but it's free from gluten. Okay, that's the recipe the one I use, which is not quite nice. I buy the big bottle because it lasts ages. Okay, and 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika. This is what makes the smoky taste. Some people put liquid smoke in, and I do have some liquid smoke, but I thought not many people are going to have liquid smoke if it's a store cupboard one, so I'm going to use this recipe. 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon of water. Where's my water gone? There it is. So 1 teaspoon, just literally 1 teaspoon of water. 1 teaspoon of maple syrup. I'm sorry if I keep going off camera, but I'm just looking at the recipe. 1 teaspoon of maple syrup, just to give it a bit of like stickiness. And 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. So it's very similar to the barbecue sauce that I made yesterday. Okay, 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar and 2 tablespoons of a light oil. I'm going to use this olive oil. So it's 2 tablespoons of oil. 1, 2. Okay. So that is it. That is it. And all you need to do is give it a bit of a mix. And you can see, well, you probably can't see very much, but that's the marinade. And then what I've done is I've put my tofu or tempeh, if you've got any tempeh, that's kind of more of like a gristly soya protein. So that's going to come, I'm going to pour it over this shallow, we want a shallow dish so that the marinade can sit on the top. This is going to be probably too much for this amount of soya tofu because I'm only using half a block. Okay, so I'm only going to put half of this in and then I'll leave the rest for another recipe. Okay, so you're just going to basically leave it to marinate for about 5 minutes. And I'm not going to cook this because I want to have this for tonight's dinner, like my fry up. So I might come on and just show you how I cook it a bit later on if I have time. It's Sunday and it's my run day, so I want to run today again. I've been running 5k every other day when I can. And when it snowed this morning, I was like, oh no, it might ruin my run. But anyway, so leave that for 5 minutes minimum. It can be left a lot longer. And then you fry it, just fry it in a small pan with a little bit of oil. It will crisp up really nicely. Just turn it over. You can have it with a BLT. You can have it just with, like I say, a fry up. You can have it with, chop it in some salad, anything that calls for bacon. So again, this is a little quick, simple recipe that you could maybe try for today. That's used all my store cupboard ingredients, so I don't need to go and buy things. So have a lovely rest of your Sunday, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you very much for joining me today. And don't forget, it's something I want you to do. Down below here, there's a subscribe button. There's also a like button and a share button. Can you press a couple of those for me? I'd really appreciate it if you can get my subs up. That would be amazing. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye.